hope everyone out there is having a great night so far. Yes, I'm here. I started a little bit early. That's only for your benefit. Just want to make sure everyone gets in here and starts this show. I know YouTube is like the other Silicon Valley companies, trying to censor people and keep people from having their words, but doesn't matter. I'm going to do what I do anyway. I want to let everyone know, this is something I put everything into. As I told someone earlier, I truly want to inform people. That is my main purpose and my main goal. My goal is not to sway you or lie to you or try to give you fake information. Anytime I do make any sort of mistake, I correct my mistakes, but my goal is to educate people. And I feel like it's something that, has been put on me by God, our creator, to educate and inform people on really what's going on. I know a lot of times people have gotten into, it's so funny how Trump created so many of the, I have my water here, how Trump created so many of the words we're all using today. It doesn't matter if you're on the right or the left. Everyone's using fake news. Everyone's using drain the swamp. And, a lot of the Democrats who won these Republican districts, they're using that term. And so it's just really good to see everyone's engaged. The division is what needs to stop. You get your butt whooped now for claiming any sort of political side, especially if you're a Republican or conservative. They'll beat you down for saying, "Oh, you support President Trump," or whatever may be the case. But today's talk is about California. This once I grew up in the state of California. I was born here. My grandparents on both sides came here. My grandmother on my mother's side, my mother's mom, she came here in the 1960s. I'm sorry, yeah, the 1960s, early 60s, when my mom was 5 years old. They came from Texas. Texas didn't have very many opportunities at that time, so people migrated out of Texas. They came here to California. My other family, they came from Mississippi, and then they came from Mississippi to Chicago, and then from Chicago to California. And my father's mom and dad, they did very well for themselves. Bought a house in Carson, California. Owned that house until both of them passed away. My grandfather died first. My grandmother passed away 3 years ago. They did well for themselves, raised children, 8 kids to be exact. And, to say that the American dream is impossible, they came from Mississippi. First off, that at that time, my grandfather was born in 1937. My grandmother was born in the 1940s, 40, 41. So imagine, at that time, Mississippi wasn't a place that you wanted to really be in if you were black. And they came all the way from Mississippi, went to Chicago, obviously, and then came to California. They did this, and they still achieved great things. Like, although I never had that one-on-one conversation with them, because I guess growing up in California, for the most part, California has never, from even the people I know who grew up here who were black, the older people, it's never really been a state that's associated with racism per se. You have your issues, obviously. They even had their issues, but it wasn't like Mississippi, where you couldn't walk down the street and look a white person in the eye, So I was spoiled here growing up in California. Even though I grew up in the inner city, I was spoiled. I mean, California is very diverse. I mean, I've always seen people who are intermixed, intermixed couples, and no one has a problem with it really, except for some white and some black people, obviously. But no one really has a problem with it like that, because it's something that has been here for some time now. But my grandparents never talked about the segregated South. They never brought up some of the things they had to struggle with at that time. But what I wanted to get across to you guys today is that, being a kid in California, growing up in the 90s, 80s, and 90s, it was such an incredible state. It was a beautiful state. So many great things. We had a lot of fun, rode our bikes everywhere. Hollywood was big then. You know, we loved the Power Rangers and action. I was a huge action film guy. Again, I used to be an actor, so if you guys didn't know that, I was a low budget. And I never made it quite to. I always say I was a D-minus list actor. I did some commercials, a few little like short films and things, but I never got over the top of that. You know, and Hollywood is very inconsistent anyway. Um, so overall, you know, myself, I had these things that I really liked. The sun, the weather was really nice in California. You play outside. Back in the day, like in the 80s and 90s on Christmas in California, everyone would everyone would be outside because the weather was always good here. We didn't have snow and wet and rain and things. Really, I think my whole life on Christmas it's rained twice. You know, it rarely rains on Christmas here. So, you know, we'd all be outside on Christmas. Everyone's riding their bikes. Everyone's showing their new toys, new video game systems they got. Like, oh, I got this new game for my Sega or my Super Nintendo or my Nintendo. You know, it's changed a lot, though. A lot has changed. Um, it's very sad, you know. The state of California, since Gray Davis, has been falling apart, and the Democrats have taken a majority in the mid '90s and in even the late '90s. It's been falling apart, and it's just so unfortunate, guys. It really is. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, and you know, I find it so funny that so many people, when they bring up California, the people who are brainwashed, by the way, sorry if I didn't clarify that, but these NPC types, the same people uh, who repeat these, oh, well, California has a budget surplus right now. California has the fifth largest economy in the world. And I'm like, what are you talking about? California has the fifth largest economy in the world. Have you tried? I would test out anyone or ask anyone here who watches this. Go look up jobs in California. I'm kidding. I'm not lying to you. Look up if you're just a regular. You don't have a college degree. I mean anything special of a college degree like engineering or finance or mathematics or MBA or something of that, some specialty, right, of that sort of nursing or medicine. Look up just regular jobs in California. The construction, blue collar, they don't pay anything here. Like they pay shit here in the state of California. And you have people who don't see that. You got jobs that pay $11 an hour. And it's like $13 an hour. Oh, $15, right? That's not anything, right? Can $15 an hour buy you a house these days in California? Now, back in 1980, 81, 82, even up until the late 80s, if you made $11 an hour in the state of California, you could buy a home, right? You can't buy a home making $11 an hour. Can you believe some of these jobs still pay that little? $12 an hour, $13 an hour. And then they say we have a budget surplus. The majority of the jobs available that are full-time don't pay very well, and the ones that pay a little bit better are part-time jobs. The majority of California's wealth has been delegated to one side, and that side is the government. If you want to do very well in California, even though it's funny, I'm going to say something in a second here. If you want to do very well in California, you have to work for the government or you have to be filthy rich, period. If you don't work for the government and if you're not filthy rich, you're going to struggle. You cannot get a regular blue collar job like before or even a corporate job. Corporations have fled California. They said, man, we're getting out of here. Too many taxes, too many regulations, too many lawsuits, right? Oh, I went to work today and I slipped and fell in the bathroom over some soap that I dropped on the ground. Let me sue my company. People do that. Oh, I clocked in on time. I think that's liable for sue. Oh, I took my break every day, but I felt so bad every day I took my break because I was mandated to take 15 minutes. I'm going to sue this company. That's California. Oh, let's sue everybody. Let's sue businesses out of the state. That's what's becoming the state of California. So corporations are leaving. They said, man, we're not going to deal with this nonsense. I can remember back in the 80s when my aunt, my grandmother, they all had really good jobs. My grandmother on my dad's side was a nurse, My grandfather was an entrepreneur, and he would, do all kinds of things, fix cars, do construction. He had his own thing going. My grandmother was a nurse. She retired from nursing. But and then on my mom's side, my grandmother, she's from Texas. She was tough. She was a tough grandmother. So she worked in a shipyard area that paid pretty well. She retired from that too. It was sanitation. Sanitation jobs used to pay good back in the day. And I just find like now those jobs are dominated by illegal immigrants. And and people hate when I say this. They say, "Oh man, look, watch my video on my YouTube feed about illegal immigration." I have a very compassionate, I give a very compassionate argument on that topic because people think, "Autumn, you're black, you're supposed to support illegal immigration." Well, look, the people who call me a nigger and chase me and my brother home as kids were illegal immigrants. No, I will never sit here and support something like that. But I will have compassion in saying, become legal citizens. I will have compassion in saying, you guys are being used. Illegal immigrants are being used as tools. I will say that. And people hate it. It's the truth. You're being used as cheap laborers. Back in the day, if you came to LA, you went to a hotel, the majority of the maids in these hotels, what's going on, Texas? The majority of the people in these hotels who worked in these hotels were black and white, okay? Now, slowly, black people got funneled out. Hispanics came in, right? Now you go to a hotel, but predominantly the people are Hispanic and they speak zero English. None. It makes no sense whatsoever. And California has made it where you can't question a person's citizenship. You can get fined for that as a company. What's his name? Becerra, the AG of the state of California. And it's so, how stupid are people to vote these folks? Gavin Newsom, Becerra, Dianne Feinstein. It's just, you never learn from your mistakes. People pooping all over the sidewalks in San Francisco and Los Angeles, and they're still voting for these people over and over again. It baffles my mind. It baffles my mind. What is going on? When I grew up in California, it was a Republican state at first. In the 90s, that changed, but it was still a Republican state by way of the governor. And they still had a majority of Republicans in the House, okay? So Republicans still had a large house until 1994. They lost that House. And then Democrats took control, for the most part, of the state of California. They controlled the legislative seats in the state of California. We had, for a while, when I was born in the 80s, we had two Republican senators. One ended up becoming the governor. The other senator got replaced by Dianne Feinstein. And then we had another senator, Barbara Boxer, who just retired in 2016. So, and Barbara Boxer and Feinstein, they were neck and neck for a long time. And for a society to say that women aren't getting by in life, or getting further in life and doing things, it's so funny to me because California had two female senators for over 20 years. Okay, Feinstein why is she still there? She's old and decrepit. She doesn't even know half of what she's saying most of the time, right? Give me a second here, guys. YouTube. I'm just looking for California budgets really quick. I'm just going to show you guys, go over the map with you. It was a really good site that I used before. Make sure I could find it before. It's very good. Hang on here. Where is it? Let me see. It was California Debt Clock. Thank everyone for joining me here today. If you guys didn't notice already, Periscope has already moved to permanently ban me from making money. That's pretty funny. If you didn't watch my Periscope, I explained it, but they permanently banned me right now. I sent an email challenging why I was banned, and they sent an email saying that I'm banned for some reason, right? They didn't say in the I'm sorry, not the email, the actual, when you go to your super fans and you click on learn more, I have plenty of super fans to start making money, but they won't allow me to make money. They said I'm banned because of something that I said or some violation that I did on social media, on Twitter or Periscope. So It's annoying, guys. If some people just don't understand, they just don't understand. I really put a lot into doing this, and I want people to try to understand that, you know, I'm not here to try to say I know more than anyone, or I'm smarter than anyone, but know my I do know my stuff. If you guys know what I'm saying, I do know my stuff. I don't just sit back like a sheep and stare at outer space and say resist, right? Resist, persist. That's stupid stuff, right? Resist what is what I always ask. I had a person the other day. I said, think freely, right? And this person voted, said, I'm gonna think freely in the name of fuck Donald Trump. And so she voted on that platform. I'm voting on F Donald Trump. Who votes that way? Who says I'm gonna vote on the platform of F the president? That makes no sense. Like when you look at the Tea Party movement, besides the rhinos that came out of that, Paul Ryan and all these other dumbasses, right? Free speech is under attack. And they're trying to silence conservatives more than they are anyone else. But when the Tea Party came about, it was a grassroots movement that focused on fiscal conservatism. Fiscal. Why are we spending so much tax dollars on destroying our state, destroying our country? So the Tea Party movement started, but we just elected some of the worst people. I always say this. In that Tea Party movement surge, how did we get Mitt Romney as our presidential nomination? It never made sense to me. You have all these Ted Cruz, Rand Paul. I can go down the list, right? You had all these top-notch conservatives, and we get Mitt Romney as our presidential nomination. I mean, that just goes to show you that the GOP establishment is broken, and everyone in the GOP establishment is taking this moralist approach to how to get things done. And I'm tired of that. I like how Trump is just slays people. He goes in, you're asking a stupid question. Next, oh, what? I don't want to hear. Please be quiet, right? You should be ashamed of yourself. I like that, right? The GOP is not, they've taken this, oh, well, we're Christians. And I'm a Christian, by the way. So don't get upset when you hear this. We're Christians. The right thing to do is this. This is the right thing to do. No. When it comes to politics, you got to get dirty. Christianity and politics are two separate things. Our forefathers wrote the Constitution for a specific reason. He is a rhino. He's going to obstruct President Trump at all costs, right? You know this. That's all Mitt Romney's going to do. When it comes to the Constitution, it's important for us to understand that our forefathers wrote the First Amendment for a reason, okay? We're not to have an establishment religion, really, at all, okay? That includes Islam for these stupid liberals out there. But Christianity is what our Constitution was based on, but without saying that. They didn't say, yeah, go out, everyone has to become Christians. It was never meant that way. But for some reason, all these so-called, I call them fake conservatives. So many fake conservatives out there, okay? They're like, oh, well, we have to do the right thing. We have to take this moral approach to things. No, I'm sorry. You don't take a moral approach. This is why so many of them are spineless. They're tucking their tails. Oh, well, President Trump said mean things to me, so I'm going to tuck in my tail and not do anything. This is how we lost California. New York even voted red at one point. Chicago and Illinois voted red up until 1992. These areas don't vote red anymore at all. Why is that? Because the GOP gave up on them. They just put their hands up. Oh, yeah, we're just going to walk away. And excuse me for saying this, but the Bush GOP was the worst. The GOP under Bush was the worst. With the leadership of Dick Cheney, everyone's a rhino. Everyone's moderates get kicked out of the party. Remember, all the moderates were helping the GOP in the 90s, right? They were helping the GOP. Newt Gingrich endorsed and had an open hand for moderates, okay? I always tell people Los Angeles had a Republican mayor during the 90s. I mean, isn't that crazy? Los Angeles had a Republican mayor. Oh, no. Well, so he was a rhino. Remember that term came out after the wrong people. Moderates are not bad in the GOP. And I mean that with every bit of my heart. What's wrong with the GOP are these opportunists, these carpetbaggers that they are scallywags, as they used to call them in the South, right? These are carpetbaggers. They want money, they want opportunity. They work for some GOP candidate, then they get this nice job, just like the Democrats do, right? They're no different. And that was created under the Bush administration. Let's go ahead and shame the GOP. And Bush destroyed the GOP as well. Greed is exactly right. Bush destroyed the GOP. And so the Tea Party resurged the GOP. But what happened out of the Tea Party movement? It failed because the establishment destroyed it. Mitt Romney, Lindsey Graham, even though I like Lindsey Graham now, right? Cocaine Mitch, they destroyed the Tea Party movement. If you guys didn't know that, they wanted the Tea Party movement silenced and gone. So they started making these claims, racism, and I've heard from some people that there was some sketchy stuff, but for the most part, if you're black or Hispanic or you went to a Tea Party rally, no one bothered you. No one had a KKK sign, up and a neo-Nazi salute. None of that was really happening. It was more so some people were just angry. And you get Antifa types on the left who get the bus locks over people's heads and walk away, and then you get white supremacists who claim to be on the right. White supremacists aren't on the right, by the way, if you didn't know that. They claim that, but they're not. The Republican Party has never accepted white supremacy, ever. It's never taken the platform, like the Democrats once did, of white supremacy and said, look, this is what we're going to run on. We're going to create policies around whiteness. The GOP's never done that. They get blamed for it, but they've never done it. There's never been one time where the Republican Party has done that. I know I kind of got off track, but I'm getting back to my point. The state of California, and last year, California has a large GDP. Okay, now California spends a large portion of its money on illegal immigration, $23 billion to be exact. They spend I can't calculate the certain amount on this, trillions on these failing retirement plans in the state of California. If you work as a police officer, if you work as a fireman, as a state or city worker, okay, you get a 90 to 100% pension in the state of California. Now, they tried this in Detroit. You guys remember that? They tried this in Milwaukee. They tried this in St. Louis. They tried this in Pittsburgh, right? All those places are they're decimated. They look like third world countries now. Okay, Detroit is obviously hipsters are the smart millennials. We'll talk a little bit about that hopefully today. But they're going into Detroit and saying we see opportunity here. Okay, but the people who are really trying to make something of themselves in the state of California, you're fooling yourself if you think you can. If you've had a family business that's been here for a while, you kind of already had your foot in the door, great. Even myself, back in February, right? We had I was doing a real estate transaction, right? And I had everything set. And then this person, the state of California is just screwed. The law system, it's just screwed up. It's just screwed up. Okay. So this person goes, I was going to put the deal through, and last minute they have the ability to you can just Google search. Oh, your house can't be foreclosed for many years in the state of California. So they did a Google search because they were in pre-foreclosure, and all of a sudden I lose that deal. And I was kind of mad because I had the paperwork ready, had everything set to go, and then I found out this, and I can hold on to my house now. It's like California aids to people being dependent on the state. The other thing that the rest of the budget goes to medical care, right? For senior citizens, illegal immigrants, and citizens. So California, its surplus right now is around 1.3 trillion, right? It's bringing in that. But California spends more than half of that on liabilities, right? For these retirement plans, for health, medical insurance, illegal immigration, and the rest is just going literally to waste. So people get upset when I say this, and this is in no way to sound like a conspiracy theorist, okay? So take this however you want. You can be upset when I say this. We see every year, okay? I pointed this out last year. I was working, and I was at home earlier that day, right? I was working at night, though. At the time, we were planning for our wedding, so I was working a lot of crazy hours. So we started some fires like we have right now. Pray for the families affected by these fires, by the way. They don't deserve what they're dealing with. They need to sue the entire state of California for this, right? Exactly. Exactly. You know what I'm about to get at. The state of California last year, right, and many other years in the past too, these fires started in the 90s, okay? I talked about this a little bit earlier on my Periscope. So back in the 90s, we had the Malibu fires, the Santa Monica fires, we had these crazy fires. They stopped because what the government did, Pete Wilson was our governor at the time, they said, we need to have our forestry department and sprinkler systems set up so we can stop these fires from occurring as much as they did. And so we didn't really have a lot of fires after that 93 fire we had in Malibu. That fire was terrible. You walking home, soot coming from the sky. Pete Wilson did the right thing, right? He put in forestry to set fires, right? To set fires so that they can keep them controlled. And we had a few ones off the 405, but it was nothing like the Malibu one was really bad at that time. So moving forward, we over the last like 5 years especially, we have these mysterious fires. And guess what they always blame it on? Climate change. And it's so hilarious to me. Like, look at last year, and that's where I was getting at. Last year, I'm at UCLA. I'm actually at the campus, inside one of the classrooms there, right? Reading, doing things, right? At UCLA, I'm there. They're saying, the Getty Museum might burn down. We have high winds. I said, I'm here at UCLA, right? There are no high winds whatsoever. I even took a snapshot. I don't have it anymore. I took a snapshot of the current wind conditions in the area. I said, it's not windy here. What are they talking about? And you had people who were so stupid. I was tweeting this too. They were on Twitter attacking me like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. The wind is causing these fires. Oh, what are you talking? You sound crazy. You sound like Alex Jones, right? I sent the screenshot. I said, look at this. Ping. They said the Getty's going to burn down, and I'm in the area the UCLA is literally right next to the Getty, okay? The main Getty. There's two Gettys. But UCLA is right next to the main Getty Museum. There was no winds at all. There was none at all. And they're saying, the wind is causing all these fires. Anaheim, they find a guy dressed in all black setting fires near a hotel in Anaheim Hills. Why didn't the news ever report back on that? And then what did you read in the Washington Post, New York Slimes, right? As I say, Washington Ghost, right? Because it doesn't report real news. LA Times, all the out left, right, is what I call them. All these media sources of news that people read every day. What did they say? Climate change. Climate change is the reason for climate change. Climate change. Climate change. What are you talking about? And then you come to find out, after everything is said and done, when people stop paying attention to the newspaper, it was arson that did it. I remember one year, a fire, what do you call it? A fire, not chief, a fire inspector went around and set all these fires in California. A fire inspector did it. He got charged and he went to prison. But they said, no. It's climate change. Climate change is a hoax. If you don't believe that, I'm sorry, you can get off of this feed. I don't believe in climate change. The climate has always changed. If you think climate change is so real, where are the dinosaurs at? Why don't I see woolly mammoths walking around? Why don't I see a saber-toothed tiger somewhere? Oh man, where's climate change? Climate change is causing ISIS, right? Didn't Bernie Sanders say that? Climate change is causing ISIS. What? Where do you come up with this stuff? Oh, that's right, the Soviet Union, which has a huge influence on the Democratic Party right now. The Soviet Union, the ones that Ted Kennedy and these folks fought to keep Ronald Reagan from disbanding, right? Oh, we need to not have any conflicts with the Soviet Union. Ronald Reagan's going to create a nuclear war. Remember they said that? They tried to undermine Ronald Reagan. Then when everything fell apart, they tried to use Iran-Contra to destroy Ronald Reagan. And when you look at everything surrounding Richard Nixon, and when you look at Ronald Reagan, Ted Kennedy's behind both of them. They never ask questions about climate change. They just repeat. They do. And it's that same stale narrative that never gets anywhere. Climate change is real. Climate change is real. You know, when I was a kid, and I truly believe this, even to this day. When I was a kid, it was pollution. It was recycle. It was don't put your aluminums and your plastics in the trash. There's a separate bin for that. I believe that there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with trying to be more conscious with litter, throwing things in the trash. But I'm telling anyone on here, don't come to California, but just YouTube videos, okay? YouTube, just go into YouTube search and go destruction of California. Just look, and you'll see the majority of California, especially in the coastal elite areas, Los Angeles, Santa Monica, all the way up to San Francisco, right? All you will see is trash and homelessness everywhere. You know, trash and homelessness. I'm talking like you can't go into a lot of these homeless areas. Why is that? Every state has it. Thanks to the EPA, which needs to be abolished, in my opinion, right? The EPA shouldn't have any type. The EPA should be a state thing. If you want an EPA in your state, I 100% support that. But the EPA should not have a federal department at all because it becomes like under Obama. Obama used the EPA to manipulate statistics around climate change. They put doctors and they put all these smart people to manipulate stats so that they could push through climate change garbage, right? But as a kid, I remember making sure, okay, we have to, don't throw this here, don't put a battery in the trash can, right? Just be environmentally conscious. There's nothing wrong with that. And then, back then it was pollution, right? Recycle, reduce, reuse. Remember that song? They did that song in the 70s too, but they did it in the 90s. And then they had Captain Planet. I am Captain Planet, right? Win, Walter. Remember that? That was like what you got as a kid. Like, even though it was brainwashing you then, it was like no one talked about this whole idea of climate change. And then all of a sudden, Barack Obama becomes president in 2008, and the whole climate change narrative becomes something else. Oh, climate change created ISIS. Climate change is creating diabetes. Climate change is responsible for heart disease. Climate change is making these cow farts pollute the sky. Climate change this and climate change that. Climate change is not causing these fires. Oh, dry brush. There used to be firefighters who got paid to burn dry brush to keep these fires controlled. They don't allow it anymore because some dumb judge said, well, we have to protect our endangered species in California. What endangered species are these? Not to mention these same stupid judges in California diverted water that was going towards Central California farmers, many of whom are now bankrupt, money that was going towards farmers in Central California. They directed it towards a lake to save these little tiny fish. Oh, well, no, California has a drought problem now. Oh, now California just passed a law for people who are low information voters. California just passed a law where your water shuts off after a certain amount of time. Oh, people voted on this too. Oh, yeah. Your water shuts off at a certain amount of time. And people voted on this garbage. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go and vote. I'm going to go vote my gun rights away. Oh, I'm going to go vote my water rights away. Oh, I'm going to go vote my... People voted to ban plastic here in California. Oh, from the grocery store. You can have your own plastic bags, but if you go to a grocery store, they voted to ban plastic bags. They banned plastic straws. This is all Soviet Union type of nonsense in the state of California. And it's incredible when you read, there's some great documentaries out there that talk about how specifically the far left targeted the state of California, they targeted Illinois, and they targeted New York, specifically for their demographics, and specifically because they can subvert society in these areas. So many people like myself who are wide awake, people don't understand when you try to educate them. You try to tell them facts and data and things, they don't want to hear it. Oh, yeah, we need to do something about gun control. Oh, free speech. Hate speech doesn't protect free speech. Oh, well, we need health care for all. Everyone deserves health care. What? I'll always say this, okay? Now, I weigh a little bit more than I should, so I should be losing weight. I'm going to admit to that right now. Healthcare is this: watching what you eat, keeping your stress levels low, right? Moving, aka exercising, or whatever you call exercise, could be walking, playing basketball, running, tennis, lifting weights, right? So eating, I said keeping your stress low, having healthy relationships, just reading, being around people, that's health for the most part, right? And there's a little bit more that goes to that. Getting your 6-month or 1-year checkups with your doctor, that's health, okay? Health insurance is like Chris Rock said, it's just in case. That's what it's called. Everyone doesn't have a right to just in case, if you guys understand what I'm saying. You don't have a right to my tax dollars paying for your health. All right? People don't realize this crap only happens in California due to this. The problem too with California is that I know people personally. Oh, I'm moving to, I have friends that moved to Nevada, friends that moved to Texas, friends that moved to Arizona. Guess what? All of them are liberals. All of them are dummies. Oh, yeah. Oh, resist. Donald Trump is the orange bad man. Oh, resist, persist. So they go to Texas. Oh, yeah, Texas is full of racist rednecks, right? That's what they say. It's full of these racist rednecks folks. So they go there and vote Democrat. Oh, it's full of a bunch of racists here in Nevada. They go there and vote Democrat. Look at Nevada. Nevada's blue now, and it's not going red again for at least for a while. And when you look at the maps, what keeps California blue? The coast. What keeps Nevada blue? Las Vegas. Right? They are Cali in here. Look at Beto O'Rourke almost won. I thought Beto O'Rourke was going to lose by 10. He almost won. Literally, all it would have taken is a few more votes from the illegal population, and he would have won. I've said this before, and I'll say this again. You guys can keep this in mind. Whenever liberals take over your state, this is what happens. First off, they overpopulate cities. They overpopulate the popular cities to drive real estate costs up. When real estate costs goes up, guess what conservatives do? Move out of the city. When conservatives move out of the city, these rich, a lot of the rich liberal folks move in, bring in illegal immigration, and give it 5 to 10 years. Your state is gone completely. They use cheap labor to replace actual Americans working. And then guess what you have after the illegals come in, the city's overpopulated, massive homelessness, massive drug problems, massive crime problems, and people don't care. I'm getting out of California. Let me go to Texas and vote the same way. And it's so funny, many years ago, when I started my Instagram page, I went, one night I was at work. I was working late one night, and I looked at Texas. And I was just thinking about this today. Oh, wow, property taxes are going through. See, Texas doesn't have a state tax, so property taxes are a little bit higher. But they're going up because the cost of real estate is going up, right? But I was looking at a map that I remember. I was sitting there, and I'm like, people are leaving California. People have been fleeing to Texas since 2007. They said like the largest number started leaving in 2007. And California was still a pretty good state at that point. But they said people have just been fleeing California for Texas since 2007. And I look and I said, Texas is going to go blue. I said, Texas is going to go blue. Texas is going to, I said that right away. I said, I see you're already here. You got El Paso, you got San Antonio, you got Dallas, you got Austin, you got Houston, all blue. All blue. All are blue. And Fort Worth is purple now because of illegal immigration and people from other states. And I started saying then, Texas is going to go blue one day. Oh, that's never going to happen in Texas. Oh, it'll be a burning day in hell before that happens in Texas. You know, it's so funny to me. This is why I like to use the word patriot. I like to use the word constitutionalist more now. I don't always like using the word conservative because so many conservatives are in denial. So many conservatives are full of themselves too. You know, and this is in no way to bash anybody. Just hear what I'm trying to say, guys. Don't get triggered, okay? So many people use that term conservative so loosely. Ronald Reagan was tough. If you look at some of his debates against hippies and against leftists, he shut up, like he's tough. Now, like Trump is tough. Now you got, for the last, I would say 30 years, you got these soft conservatives. They call themselves conservatives, but they're really not. And those same people, oh no, Texas is never going to go blue. Oh, that's never going to happen in Texas. Look at Nevada. Look at Idaho now. Look at Utah. Mia Love lost her seat because lots of liberals moved to her city and they voted her out. And another thing, a lot of upper middle class people and rich people vote Democrat now. They do not vote Republican. Most upper middle class people and rich people do not vote Republican. And I don't get why people don't, the Republican Party is the party for the rich. Where is it? Where? Show me some statistics that says that. Look at the state of California, for example. You got the the castle on the hill, and you got the peasants at the bottom. That's pretty much what California has become. The super wealthy folks, right, and the upper middle class wealthy folks are controlling the peasants. They're working for, and most of these peasants are not legal citizens. They're working for them under the table, or they're taking their kids to school, cleaning their houses. This is what we're dealing with in the state of California. I find it so immoral when any Republican or so-called conservative doesn't want to hear the truth. There's another guy, he does YouTube pages. He can get racial sometimes, right? He gets pretty racial. But his name's Red Elephant. Watch his. I challenge anyone. Watch his YouTube pages, right? White guy. Talks a lot about race, though. But he talks a lot about demographics. Demographics destroyed California, right? You flood the border in with illegal people, it changes the state. It's changing Texas right now. If you take 1,000 Marines or more, right? 20,000 Marines, you put them on the border, you put a wall there, Texas will stay red for the next 40 years if they can keep it that way. If you don't have a border wall up, Obama opened up the border, right? He kind of put his hands up. We have sanctuary cities all over the place now. He put his hands up, and look, people are flooding into these Arizona, right? Arizona has the border towns are pretty much Mexico. New Mexico, Texas, and then California, right? All these places have been flooded with illegal immigration. And now illegal immigrants have moved in and taken over. California is a failed state, and this is the reason why. California is falling apart, illegal immigration, terrible government, people who are so stupid to vote for this stuff over and over again. We are against the 1%. Well, you're voting for it in the state of California. You're voting for the 1% in this state. Tell me right now, one person that's in Congress, Dianne Feinstein is worth almost $100 million, if she's not worth that already. Dianne Feinstein has given her husband multiple contracts to stay in power in the city of San Francisco, right? If you're a normal everyday investor like myself, her husband is a real estate investor, or a real estate developer. So if you're a normal grassroots developer, right, you go to San Francisco to try to get any type of service to create and build real estate, and she's going to stop that because she put all these regulations in place with all her little minions in San Francisco to keep it rich here, poor at the very bottom. You don't have a say-so in San Francisco. But what's so sad is that the main place people are leaving is San Francisco. Oh, we're leaving San Francisco for Texas. Oh, but no. See, the Democratic Party is still the party of the little man. And they still think this way. That's why I come here to try to educate people, because I want people to know California once an incredible state where we had a good time, where we would enjoy being children. You know, even though I grew up in the inner city, we enjoyed being children. Oh, thank you very much. I'm about to end here soon anyway. We enjoyed being children in California growing up. Now we don't enjoy that. You know, as adults, we're sick and tired of the traffic. We're sick and tired of, do you speak English everywhere you go? You know, we're sick and tired of those things. People get mad at me for saying it. They're like, oh, well, America doesn't have a language. What? America does have a language, by the way, and it's called English, okay? You can have your language all you want. I don't care. You can speak English and Spanish, English and Swahili, English and Somali. I don't care. Just learn to speak English, okay? There's no reason you should be going places asking people if they speak Spanish. Like I said, all it's going to take is for Gavin Newsom, when he's done screwing California over, some Republican to come in that's like extremely conservative, right? Just takes it to that whole nother level and come in and start deporting people. Oh, we're just going to make like Dwight Eisenhower did. He wasn't a conservative, but they had Operation Wetback, right? Brought in buses, deported over 1 million people. And these people, like now, were being used for cheap labor. Oh, we need farmers to help with, we need peasants basically from parts of other countries to come in and help our farms and come in and do cheap labor for us. This is what they did. And then Dwight Eisenhower, once they were finished with these folks, put them all on buses and sent them back. But I heard from one of the callers on Mark Levin, a lot of the people got to come back though. If you were in the process of becoming a citizen, or if you can prove that you wanted to become a citizen, they let you come back. But illegal immigration got really bad in the 60s, and then it got solidified in the 80s when Ted Kennedy and all the Democrats went after Ronald Reagan for Iran-Contra, were basically knocking on Ronald Reagan's door like, we're going to impeach you, we're going to impeach you. And Ronald Reagan said, well, look, if I sign amnesty, are you going to give me a border wall? And they said, yeah, we're going to give you a border wall. Let's put our hands behind our back with our fingers crossed. Boom. Ronald Reagan signs it. Bam, amnesty. California changes forever. Oh, what about my border wall? Oh, sorry, you're under investigation for Iran-Contra, right? It's even funny. Ted Kennedy borked, right? He screwed Bork over. Ted Kennedy screwed over Bork because Bork was the one who fired the special counsel under Richard Nixon. So whenever you look at that whole exchange, when Ted Kennedy comes out about Robert Bork, remember, the swamp has always been deep. Ted Kennedy hated Ronald Reagan too. Ted Kennedy tried to get Russia to stop Ronald Reagan from getting elected. Ted Kennedy tried to get Ronald Reagan impeached. Ted Kennedy destroyed Richard Nixon, right? Whenever people, I ask these questions all the time. I say, what did Richard Nixon do? Barry Goldwater even says this. Barry Goldwater hated Richard Nixon, or strongly disliked Richard Nixon because he said he was just a liar. But he said, we don't know what Richard Nixon did because he refused to tell the truth. Ronald Reagan apologized for Iran-Contra, but the Democrats knew about Iran-Contra. That's well documented. Go to my Instagram page and scroll down, and I did a post on that. The Democrats knew about Iran-Contra because Iran-Contra was funded by Congress, who Democrats were in control of at that time. But whenever it comes to this whole talk about, Richard Nixon was a racist and Richard Nixon was, I'm in no way here trying to say Richard Nixon was a great president. He actually did some great things, right? But he was more liberal than anything. But Ted Kennedy destroyed Richard Nixon's presidency. He basically exposed Richard. They're trying to do it to Donald Trump right now. He went into the Richard Nixon administration, picked out the people who were unhappy there, said, hey, man, you're unhappy with your position, right? Are you willing to resist the president? Are you willing to go against it? Like they have these people who have been getting called out in the president's administration right now, who Project Veritas has been exposing. They had people like this in the Nixon administration who were like, oh, I didn't get FBI director, so, they would just say anything. You can't call this a real witness for a person to go, oh, I didn't get the position of Secretary of State. So Richard Nixon, yeah, he did some impeachable things. And they never say what he did. Oh, well, he knew about the DNC break-in. That was never proven. Oh, well, he deleted a bunch of tapes. Well, did you guys know those tapes were under executive privilege? Does anyone know that? The tapes that Richard Nixon deleted were under executive privilege. Okay, so and it took a Supreme Court judge to say those tapes need to be released. And Richard Nixon deleted it. He had every right to do that. Executive privilege. You can delete all the tapes if you want to. Oh, well, that means he did something impeachable. And then the worst thing, Gerald Ford pardoned him, and he should have never done that. He should just let it be. And even Barry Goldwater says, he's like, why would you pardon someone when they never did anything wrong? Exactly. They should have tried to see what Richard Nixon did, maybe. But it was all a hack, and it cost the Democrats the Senate when Ronald Reagan was elected. That behavior, people got sick and tired of that. All through the 70s. The 70s was a hostile time in America, right? They just beat this whole, it was all about power and control. Right now, it's all about that too. It was all about power and having control over the population. So what we're going to do whatever it takes to destroy Richard Nixon, right? And Richard Nixon did it to himself too. And then we're going to go to Reagan. Reagan was an incredible president that people on the left and the right loved. And then the Democrats didn't control the Senate. So they said, what can we do to control the Senate? Let's lie and pretend like we never knew anything about Iran-Contra. Blame it on Oliver North, right? Charge Oliver North with 17 felonies, knowing that none of those felonies stuck. To this day, he's a free man, right? And it's not just because of the ACLU, but just like Robert Mueller, majority of his work he's done has been overturned. Enron, Anthrax, right? The Anthrax case. Oh, well, Enron, they were just so corrupt. And a man killed himself over Enron, right? Another person died of a heart attack, and the other people were in prison. And the Supreme Court justice came in and said, this doesn't make any sense. We need to release them all. Anthrax case. Oh, this German doctor, or Russian, whatever the guy was, he was sending anthrax. It turned out to be a lie. The guy gets released from jail. This is Robert Mueller. Democrats in the 80s, the same thing. Oh, well, Ronald Reagan, look, he didn't know anything about Iran-Contra. He lied to the American people. And then Ronald Reagan goes out and lies the first, and he corrects himself. But then they charge Oliver North and make him the stuntman. George Bush was behind all that, by the way, senior. But they made him the odd man out. Oh, Oliver North, we have to do something about this. 17 felonies. Bam. People, Republicans as always, sat at home. Okay, yeah, we're not gonna go out and vote. Man, Ronald Reagan would. And then Ronald Reagan had a 62 to 65% approval rating. So because his approval rating was so high, the people for the most part were still like, okay, well, he's still popular. But at the same time, the Democrats tried to destroy this man, right? And then he left office. That was and they were going to impeach him if Dukakis had won. So, I've talked about this before on my other scopes. But my point is this, is that when you get a state like California, okay, a once beautiful state, you see it's being controlled and destroyed by subversion. You have to ask yourself, when does it stop? And then the same subversion goes to other states. Oh, I want to leave California, the gun laws and the business regulation. Well, look, guess what? Now it's coming to Nevada. Oh, Andrew Gillum? Oh, he almost won, and they're trying to overturn the election in Florida right now. He wants to raise taxes 40%, and he wants to put in an income state tax. Oh, that would most definitely destroy Florida. Oh, but no. We're going to vote for this. We moved from New York. We moved from Illinois. We moved from Massachusetts all the way to Florida. And now we want to live like we live there. Meanwhile, 5 years later, if Gillum had won, after all his policies are failing that state, people are fleeing in droves. Disneyland's prices are high, right? Disney World's. Homeless people all over Miami, if they're not there already, right? Homeless people, drug addicts, people shooting up all over the place. Middle-class families leaving, right? But in that same process, you have people who are Democrats leaving for the same reasons, but they don't get it. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to vote Democrat. I don't want to live here anymore. Oh, it's too expensive. Makes no sense. I think that these people who move out of state shouldn't be able to vote for 5 years. They need to learn to just get some of the NPC off of them. They should not be able to vote for 5 years, period. He moved including me. I'm moving to Texas soon. I moved to Texas. I should not be able to vote for 5 years, period. I'm never going to vote Democrat. I tell you that right now. But it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for people to keep doing the same insane garbage that they've been doing for many, many years. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, isn't it? Expecting different results. It's not working. But again, I've talked about this, and we'll do another talk on this another time about progressivism destroying America. But the state of California is in shambles. And these fires that are going on happened on purpose because California is broke. And the reason why California is broke is because it doesn't know how to spend its own money. We're going to spend money on things we don't need to spend money on. And then when all else falls apart, we have these stupid regulations in place where people can't, our own forestry department can't go out and do their job. So what we're going to do is we're going to allow fires to happen, and then we're going to declare a state of emergency, get millions of dollars in federal funding, and then we're going to use that money to keep funding all the problems that we're trying to cover up, right? We're just going to print money, basically. We're just going to keep printing money until people don't see the truth. Mark my words. I've already said this before. Because of Barack Obama, because of Paul Ryan and his terrible spending bills that he put across the president's table, we're going to have another recession, more than likely in 2021. When we have this next recession, it's going to be terrible. California is going to get hit really hard. And just know this, Gavin Newsom, people are still going to vote this man in the second time. California is going to get hit extremely hard. Gavin Newsom is trying to pass Medicare for all and for illegals. It's going to destroy the state. Again, Detroit, California is what you're going to be looking at. You're going to be looking at, it's already abandoned houses. There's already abandoned businesses here. The roads are jacked, right? They said we have this gas tax that people voted for. People didn't vote to repeal this. Isn't that stupid, right? People voted to recall Gray Davis, and we got Arnold Rhino Nader, right? But people did not vote in favor of repealing this tax on gas. Oh, we need to fix infrastructure. They even did a commercial with the guy from CHP. Oh, yeah, we need to, this is dangerous for us to repeal this. The left hate the police. They hate CHP. They hate military and they hate the police. Yet they make a commercial using a hack, if I could say that, to sell this idea, because the public safety, right? Using this hack to sell this idea that you have to vote in favor of keeping the gas tax. That's not going to fixing the roads. It's going to trying to continue this failed state. And then now on the ballot of 2020 is the 13th Amendment, passed when Ronald Reagan was governor of California, which keeps tax rates extremely low for businesses who have been here since then and before, and for homeowners. So now what you're going to get is Gavin Newsom is going to have access to raising the taxes on your property. It's going to destroy the state of California. Disney, businesses that have been here for decades, gone, wiped out. It's coming. And for people out there who voted for Gavin Newsom, use your brain next time. I tried to warn you. Don't go and try to blame Republicans. Don't go and blame Donald Trump. Blame yourself because you went out and resisted instead of used your brain. Anyway, guys, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Rogue Republican on Instagram. You can follow me on Rogue Repub 1981 on Twitter. We're working on the Facebook page right now for Rogue Republican, but my page that I originally started on Facebook was Black Conservative Media. You can go ahead and check that out. But anyway, guys, I appreciate everyone for joining me today. If you want to make a contribution, click on the links below. Once this video is done uploading, please make a contribution. Please purchase a pushback shirt. And, I hope everyone enjoyed this feed today. Please get the word out. Please let people know. And as best as you can, educate yourself so you can inform people because our country is full of low information voters who, on both sides, but predominantly on the left, who really don't know where this country is heading yet. And they think they know, but they have no idea. And I tell you what, as I get off here, when the next recession happens, you see all this socialist talk right now? You haven't seen nothing yet, guys. I'm hoping that we can do something to stop our spending problem under President Trump. I hope Republicans can take back the House in 2020, which I believe they will. But I hope we can do something to stop this spending problem because socialism has become popular amongst young people, and these people want it. So by 2021, 2024, Texas could be blue at that time, and the country is blue forever. The country's going to vote Democrat for a long time. And, we have to keep this in mind. Again, educate people, guys. Do your research as well. Anyway, guys, I hope everyone enjoyed this feed. Thank you guys again. If you haven't again, check out my other social media links. It's going to be in the links below. And God bless you guys. I appreciate you guys for joining me. God bless the United States of America. Thank you.